Great. So the purpose of the in-service tonight is for us to explore some different ways to move our classes online during this time when things are closed, and then just in general, I think it's a good tool. A lot of us go on vacation or can't meet when the office is open, so this is a nice way to have another option. I want to mention that you can mute yourself if you would like. So if there's background noise, you can mute yourself, and that way you don't have to worry about, you know, if you've got family members or other things. And that's in the bottom left corner. There's a little microphone icon. And if you click that, it'll mute you. Okay, so I'm going to show how to use Zoom somewhat in depth. I just want to start with a couple basic updates. So we are obviously closed for the duration of the Safer at Home order. We have some resources on our website for COVID and for online learning, so I'll show you that in a minute. Anna K. Young and I are going to be working on checking in with students and volunteers. We have a lot of folks to check in with. There's about 300 people. So if we don't get to you when you need something, then please reach out to us, but we should get to you at some point. Here is a Google Voice number. That is so that you can call or text us and we'll get the message on our computer rather than having to call into the office and check our voicemail. So you can call or leave a message or a text message on this number at any point. And then whenever we're working, all of us can see those messages at the same time and right away. I'm going to show you the resources. So this is our website homepage. And I'm actually just going to mute everyone for a minute. Just for a couple minutes. If you need to unmute yourself though, then you can still do that. So I'm just going to mute everyone, and then you can unmute yourself if you want to speak. Okay, so this is our website homepage. So if you just go to Fox Valley Literacy or FVLC.net, right under the picture of Dick and Sandra, there's a link here, COVID-19 resources. So if you click that, there's resources right at the top here, and they're in different languages. We have a Thai and Hmong resource that will go up soon. We've been trying to ask students to edit it just to make sure that it makes sense. So that we're finishing that up. But if you click on the English version, it just tells you the order of things. So there's resources from the CDC, from a couple other health organizations just about COVID. This is a link to the CDC website. Information about the public charge. This is a little bit out of date now, so if your student is worried about their immigration status and using any public benefits, like food benefits or health benefits, then they should reach out to an immigration lawyer or to World Relief or to us, and we can help make sure that we're getting accurate, up-to-date information. And then we've got some community resources here. So mutual aid and community care is kind of a community activism group to make sure that people know about the different resources available in the community. Levin helps with rent, utilities, car payments, health insurance, gas, clothing, basic necessities. NAMI's for mental health. Us Too is a counseling and mental health service that was started by a refugee woman, and they have multilingual services available. Needy Meds has information and services to help pay for medicine. There's online addictions meetings. St. Joe's it's a food pantry, so if students or you or other people are struggling with food insecurity right now, they're accepting new clients. Harbor House is for domestic abuse. Diverse and Resilient is LGBTQ support and abuse services. World Relief has immigration information. And then Menasha Packaging, at least a few days ago, was hiring. So if you or your student got laid off, that's somewhere to maybe check. And then the United Way 211 resources is probably the best place to look for resources in the community. It'll be the most up-to-date and the most comprehensive. There's a phone number and a website. And then this is just some screenshots of their national page. So Comcast and AT&T, for example, are offering lower price internet services. There's information about unemployment, etc. And then there's a template if folks need to request a delay or a reduction of their rent because of losing their job at this point. So this is more or less the same in all of those languages. So if you wanted to, we'll share them with students as well, but if you wanted to share them, especially if your student mentions a specific need, this might be overwhelming for students still because it's a lot of reading and some jargon in any language. Any questions about that? Okay, so that's on our website. Let me just show you real fast. If you want to unmute yourself, it's this right in the bottom left corner. There's an icon with it'll say unmute. And if you click that, then you'll be able to speak. Okay. So I mentioned that we're going to be offering our group classes online. On Monday, there'll be an all levels class from 6 until 7 on Zoom, a beginners class Wednesday mornings, and then an advanced grammar group on Wednesday evenings at 6 o'clock. So go ahead.
Code? How do you get the code for the students if they want to go to the conversation?
Yeah, students who've already been attending, we have been texting them to let them know. And then if new students are interested, they can reach out to us if they have concerns. And I'll send out an email with all of that information to tutors as well. Most students don't use email, so it's pretty hard for us to communicate as consistently with students as it's harder than with tutors. And then staff will be on these meetings 30 minutes before they start, at least for the first couple weeks, so that we can help if people have questions and make sure that they know how to use Zoom. So as anyone—
Heather, I got a question.
Yeah.
This is Pat. Would my student be considered a beginner?
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, he's doing great. So I think maybe the end of the summer if he wants to try intermediate, but I definitely wouldn't go to the Wednesday night class. That's for like very advanced students.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So is anyone meeting with your student already using, phone calls or any kind of technology?
Yeah, Heather, this is Paul. I'm using WhatsApp.
Okay, great. And how's that working?
It's working well. We've been meeting every week.
Awesome.
But we've had good lessons, good sessions together.
Yeah. WhatsApp is a calling and texting application that uses the internet, but it works kind of like as if it were a phone. So you can text and call just like you could from an Apple using their built-in service, or from an Android using their service. You just can't use it without internet on your phone. And you can have video calls that way too, and send PDFs. And anyone else?
Texting and phone calls so far.
Yeah. Even if it's just texting just to stay in touch, I think is helpful for a lot of folks, just to know that there's some consistency. So there are a lot of different options. Phone calls or text messages, probably the easiest, lowest tech option. I know we have some teachers who are having full classes over the phone. That works okay for, I think, intermediate or advanced students. Comprehension on the phone for English language learners is really hard. You don't get any of the body language, and you can't see, how the person's mouth is moving. But it can be really good practice too for people who want to build confidence on the phone. So that's an okay option if that's all that you're comfortable with or your student can do. WhatsApp is another option. That's a free app that you can download to any phone, similar to Facebook. There's Facebook Messenger, can do video calls and messages and phone calls. FaceTime is built into iPhones. So you can call iPhone to iPhone using FaceTime, and they have videos.
Heather?
Yeah.
Is this information on that stuff that I downloaded the other day from, from your website? You listed, is this all on there, or should I be taking notes?
I will email the PowerPoint, and if the recording is successful, then I'll email the recording as well to everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for asking. Sorry, I didn't mention that. Yeah. I think Android has some kind of calling or messaging app. I'm just not familiar with Android operating systems. Google Hangouts is another one. Through your Google account, you can do video or phone calls and messages. Zoom is what we're on now. And then another tutor yesterday had mentioned Duo. I don't know anything about it, but they said that it works well for them. So I'm just putting these out there that they exist. So if Zoom doesn't work for you, or if your student is like, I am not up for learning a new technology, then maybe they're already using one of these. Any questions before I keep going? Okay. So I'm going to show you how to sign up for Zoom so you can have your own account. And then I'll show you more how to use it. So if you want to have classes with your student using Zoom, then you would need to make your own account. And they're free. With the free account, you can meet one-to-one for as long as you want. I don't know if there's some kind of timeout after 20 hours or something, but realistically, as long as you want. If you're having 3 people meet, then they cut off at 40 minutes. So you could have one meeting that lasted 40 minutes, and then if you wanted to continue, you'd need to end that meeting and then start another one. We have a paid account, so that's why there's lots of us here, and we can have a meeting for an hour, and then all of the conversation classes or the group classes will use our paid account to log in. So if you want to create a Zoom account to meet with your student, this is the link. So you would sign up for free. Put in your email address and then sign up. I did this yesterday. I made a personal account, and then it sent me this code. So activate your account. You click on the link. I already activated it yesterday, but it's just a couple, you make a password, and then it has one of those like, prove that you're not a robot, enter these letters. You do that, and then you click next. You probably don't want to invite your colleagues, so you just click that you're not a robot and then skip this step. Not going to let me go because I didn't enter any information, but Sign in. Okay. So that's how it works. It's really easy to make your own account. And then when you want to have a meeting, you can schedule a new meeting. You can call it, English
Hang on.
class. Yeah.
I think your screen is behind you. I want to see have a meeting. I didn't see that.
Can anyone else see what I'm talking about?
Okay, now I see. Okay, it changed again.
Can
Okay, I'm on your
Yeah,
profile page.
I make a suggestion?
Yes, please.
The window with the faces in it, with the people's faces, if you go up on top, you can move it to get it out of the way so that you
Is
can
this-
see whatever on the screen you want to see. You can just click on it and move it. You can grab it and move it.
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay,
so there might be
very
a
good.
way for some people. Or I'm not sure what it looks like for you, but you can move. You can choose the speaker view here, and then you can minimize the faces. You can move the bar with all the different faces so that it's not in your way. I don't know if that's helpful. Okay.
Okay, again, I just wanted to see how
Yeah.
you said there was a button, have a meeting.
Can you see my screen now where it's the Zoom website?
Actually, no. You had switched and
Are you talking about using schedule a meeting?
Yeah.
now it's back.
Okay.
Yes,
I think
now
you
it's
might
back.
have a delay, Pat. I think that might be the issue.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay. Sorry. The internet's a little overloaded right now. Yeah. So you go to meeting, and then you can schedule a meeting. You can choose the topic name, set the date.
Okay.
If you put an hour, it's not going to kick you off after an hour. If you're just meeting with you and your
Okay.
one student. So you can, put an hour and then stay for 3 hours, and the meeting will end whenever you choose to end it. You can have recurring meetings, so it will be the same meeting every week at the same time, and then the link won't change. So you wouldn't have to send a new link or login information every week, because it would be the same thing. Most of this you can ignore, moving down, and then just click save. So you don't need most of it, just setting the date and time and whether you want it to be recurring.
Okay.
So this is the Wednesday morning conversation circle. So once you make a meeting, it'll look like this. And then here's the URL. So if you wanted your student to be able to log on using a computer, they can use the URL. If they have an app on their smartphone, using the meeting ID is usually easier because it'll ask for the meeting ID and password. And then when it's, go ahead.
Question, do students sometimes use that password in lieu of the URL?
Yeah, so I think smartphones will usually ask you to log into the meeting using the meeting ID
Okay.
and the password. Yeah, so if you
And
copy-
tonight, when we joined the meeting, did you do it? Did we just link automatically? Did you have to let us in for security reasons? Can you comment on that?
Yeah, so most of the time the meetings are open to anyone who has the link or the login information. So you can set it that enable waiting room.
Okay.
And so that's if somebody wants to join, I'm the host. When somebody requests to join the meeting, then I have to give permission first. So
Okay.
not just anyone can join. Most of the time, I don't believe that organizations are using that, but if the link gets out somewhere public and somebody takes advantage of it, then somebody can join and, you know, be disruptive.
There was something in the New York Times today about the Attorney General of the state looking into the security issues in Zoom because some meetings have been intruded upon. And so
Yeah.
I wondered if you wanted to comment on that.
Yeah, that happened to us actually, that somebody came into the meeting and was spamming it. So yeah, if you're worried about it, then setting it to enable waiting room is a good option, because then you can deny anyone to enter who you don't know.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to go too much into depth about this right now, but if you decide you want to use Zoom and you want some help, then I'm happy to go through it with you at a later time. Okay. If you need help with Zoom, they have this support page. The link is right here. So they have videos down here for like, how do you join a meeting? How do you record your meeting? All kinds of things. I would focus mainly on getting started, audio, video, maybe meetings and webinars. I wouldn't worry about all the others because it can get pretty complicated in good ways, but probably beyond what we would need. Okay, so when you're looking at your screen, it should look something like this. Like I mentioned, you can change the speaker view here. You can maximize so that it's covering your whole screen using this feature here in the top right-hand corner. When you're done with your meeting, you can click End Meeting down here in the bottom right corner. I'm actually going to use this one. Okay, so if you want to mute, that one's here in the bottom left-hand corner. To start or end your video is the next one. If you click on this little arrow, it'll have options, so you can like choose a background and other things, but you probably just need start and end video. If you want to invite somebody else to the meeting, you can use this option too. So you can start a meeting and then invite other people this way through email is the easiest. You can also copy the invitation information and then send it to somebody less directly. To manage participants is this one. So you can mute everyone, you can unmute everyone. There's a couple other functions. You can allow people to change their names or not allow them to. Probably don't need to use this other than mute or unmute. If you want to share your screen, it's this middle button with the green. So you would just click that. So if anyone wants to try that right now, you're welcome to. It will request, since I am the host, it will ask me for permission to let you share your screen. This one is chat. So if you want to type something rather than speaking, you can chat, or if you are giving homework, you can type you know, a web page in the chat box, and then your student can copy the web page and save it that way. When you're sharing your screen though, often, for me at least, I don't notice the chat unless I open it first. It doesn't like give very disruptive notifications, so that's just something to keep in mind. If you want to record, you can record here. And then reactions are here. So that's, if you want to click on it on your screen, there's the option to wave or to give a thumbs up, I think, or maybe clap and give a thumbs up. So that would be one way for students to let you know if they're following along, if they're understanding, without having to speak or type something. Any questions about that so far? Making sense?
Sure.
Okay. Does anyone want to try typing something in the chat box? Thank you, Jessica. Awesome. So when you're presenting, the chat box will be on the top. So you'd have to put your mouse up to the top of your screen, and then a little menu drops down. And I'll show you where that is in a minute. Okay. So I've been annotating. That's why those yellow stickers are staying there. Okay. Let's do it from this one. So if you want to put your mouse like up to the top of your screen, like up here, a drop-down menu should appear. If you're on a device, it's probably on the bottom. It depends on the device. And then there's a pencil that's toward the right-hand side of that bar, and it says annotate. So on the far left, mine says mute, stop video, manage participants, share, annotate. It might be different because you're not the host. You're not sharing your screen. Thank you, yay. So if you want to find annotate, you can click on it, and then there's options. You can use your mouse and draw, you can select things, you can type. Okay. So if everyone wants to try, yeah, adding something.
You don't get that option on a cell phone.
Yeah, I think on a cell phone, the options are more limited. What kind of phone is it?
iPhone.
iPhone, okay. Because I thought there was a simple annotate option, but not to type. I thought you could draw in an iPhone, but not type.
No.
All right, but annotate is, yeah, perfect. Okay, annotate is really helpful for things like this, where I'm going to clear all of the annotation that we did. But this is a picture of a workbook. So you could, pull this up during your class and use it together, just refer to it, or you could, type answers, or if your student did homework, they could send you a picture of their homework, or they could upload the picture, and then you could correct it together. So that's one really helpful way to use annotate. If you want to, you found it?
Yeah, it's right. It's actually above the very bottom bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's over on the left. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, it's a little bit different on each, if it's an iPad or a phone or an Samsung or an Android, I mean. So if you want to share your screen, you can click on that share screen button, a green one. And then there's different options. So the one that I chose is this option here, the top, this one, which is the one that you probably will want to use most of the time, because this allows you to move from one screen to another. So how I was moving from my PowerPoint presentation to websites, and you could see all of that, that's by choosing this screen option. You can choose whiteboard, and then it'll just be like a white background so that you can annotate together. You can write things together with your student. You can also choose only one specific screen. So if you have like email and other things open and you don't want them to see all of your different tabs or all of your different programs, you just want them to see one, and you're not planning to switch back and forth between programs, then you could choose, like, maybe I only want them to see this Google page. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Any questions? Okay. Okay, right, I forgot to clear. Star's still there. Okay. So on the top, and this might be a little bit different if you're not sharing your screen or depending on the program that you're using. But on the very top bar, there's more, and then there's a drop-down menu. So you can chat from there, you can invite other people, record, end the meeting, share your computer sound. So if you're having issues, sometimes the answer will be in that drop-down menu. Once you start sharing your screen, you can stop sharing by clicking on the top here where it says stop share, or you can pause your share. Okay. Any questions? Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. So there are some online resources that I want to highlight as well, if you don't have any more questions about the Zoom program itself. So if you go to our website, you can go to just the home page, and then you click on that coronavirus resources or online learning right here on the home page. Right underneath the coronavirus resources, there's online learning tools. So while it's hard to meet in person, this is a really good time for using some computer programs. Digital literacy is more and more important for students, especially because job applications are almost all only online now. More and more, any kind of literacy is going to need to include digital literacy as well as text-tool. So we have just a few resources that we're highlighting here. There are a lot more. So if you're looking for something and you're not finding it here, you can email us or call. We organize these by learning goal. So you could go, if you're working on vocabulary, you could go to this Learning Chocolate site. I usually stick here in the recently added, or you can choose a category. They're realistic, kind of practical categories. So if you wanted to learn about instruments and musicians, it's a vocabulary program, so you kind of have to ignore all the ads. You can also expand here, and then that gets rid of the ads so you don't have to see them. Could you hear that?
Yes.
Okay. And then you can do matchup. All right, down here. All right, you have to drag it. They take a little while to figure out how each of them works specifically. And then matchup 2 will be the same words differently. So here you're dragging it. And then matchup 3, you're not seeing the words written at all, you're just recognizing the sound. So it builds multiple different skills for the same vocabulary words with multiple rounds. And there's fill in and then dictation. So you would be, and then you would type, right? So you could use one of these programs with your student using Zoom. Could do it together. It would be a little bit hard because they couldn't control your computer, so they couldn't be the one doing the clicking. Oops. Next one down is reading. So there's 2 different reading programs here. Marshall Education, the website's not very good, but the reading is nice, and they have online quizzes and activities that go with their reading texts. I like Bow Valley readers a lot. They have consecutively more difficult readers that are all the same format. So especially if your student is wanting to do more on their own, this is a great addition for a short story reading. And they have English language learner readers, as well as intercultural development, career advancement, different topics. So if you choose the ESL readers, you can choose the level, and there's some instructor information. And then there's lots of different practical books. So Food from Home, let's see what that one is. They have a print PDF that you can use. Sorry, it might be loading slowly because of the internet. But it's really simple stories, you know, 1-sentence story with a picture. There's an audiobook version. Maybe. Okay, so you can get the idea. And that's the beginning level, and it moves up. So that's level A, and it goes all the way to level G. Any questions about those so far? Okay. If your student wants to learn how to use a computer, the Madison College Libraries is a great resource. Oops. Sorry, I bumped my drop-down menu. I have to let it go back. So they have this computer basics course here. That's really great. I'm not going to open it right now, but it's free. All of the resources that we're showing are free. And they go through lots of different computer skills, all the way from how to use a mouse to typing to making Word documents to computer systems, you know, operating system. If your student's working on citizenship, there's different resources here. The USA Learns, you have to make an account with an email address. but then they have interactive videos. They also have resources in Spanish and Arabic and Tagalog. It's pretty easy to use once you're in. And then these two, the following two, are the USCIS, so the immigration office through the government. These are their resources online. So if your student is working on citizenship, they have lots of different resources. And if you're needing lesson planning ideas, they have lots of resources and lesson plans on their website as well. And then the same thing, the second link is just focused on civics. The first link is on the English component of the citizenship test. One of my favorite online resources is GCF Global. So they have tons of programs to work on like many different goals. So if you want to get started with computers, apply for a job, design nice looking documents, learn how to type. So a lot of our students don't know how to type, and that's a really practical homework assignment for them. Career planning, graphic design, skills for today. So that's for, you know, maybe project learners or ABE students, more advanced students who are working on their professional development, understanding the internet. You know, how do you use Google? How do you use Gmail? How do you use Microsoft? And then if your student isn't advanced, so that maybe these other programs wouldn't be relevant for them yet or useful, you can go to this core skills section. So they have math, writing, everyday life, personal finance, GED prep, and reading. Learn English is the only one that's specifically for English language learners. The others are not geared with English language learners in mind, but they might be still useful. Especially everyday life. So you can go to around town. So the first one will be learn how to play. So it'll give you some like directions for how to use the site, but it's pretty easy. You need Adobe Flash Player for it to work, but once that's running, then it's really easy. You know, it goes from one page to the next really directly. You just continue. Let me see if my computer is going to be fast enough today. Yeah, so it'll go, I don't have Flash Player activated for this site right now, so it's not showing the fun things you can do, and it might make my Zoom crash because there's so many people on. But if you activate Adobe, then the first lesson is how do you use it, and then it'll go through different options. So I chose around town, so the first one was how to use a bus, and then subway maps, how do you like understand and use phone numbers, practicing time. So GCF Global is, I think, one of the most user-friendly. Yeah. Did somebody have a question?
Looks like a good website.
Sorry?
It looks like a good website.
Yeah. Another one is Khan Academy. So if you want to learn like almost anything, there's something for it on Khan Academy. I've used it for statistics. They have like university level classes as well as K through 12 level things. Let's see. So you can choose which course. So early math, You can do some things by grade, science and engineering, arts and humanities. So a lot of this is paired to our K through 12 education system. So it'll help with those specific classes. These aren't, so the English here isn't running yet, it's in beta still. But they have computing, they have test preparation, and they're all videos, or many of them are videos. And then they have interactive tests and practice activities that you do on the computer. So as you watch the video, it will, you'll have a little test to see how you're doing. All right, and then check. Good, yay. Yeah, so there's practice. Then here you'll have a number grid video. There we go. So they're pretty easy to follow as far as videos go. They're pretty simple and personal. The teaching style, I think, is accessible for a lot of students as well, because it kind of simulates like Blackboard or dry erase board. Okay, keep opening more. Okay, I'm not going to go into writing here for Purdue Owl, but that's for like advanced students who are working on academic writing prep. I skipped that one. And then if there's something that your student is working on and you didn't find a resource here, Wisconsin Literacy and Pro Literacy at the bottom, they have resource guides as well with other sites that they recommend. And then the other thing I just wanted to highlight, but this might be a good time to work on storytelling with your student if you're interested in participating in the Faces of Literacy this year. So we're putting together a book of student and tutor stories. So, maybe one page, if you were to read it out loud, no more than 3 minutes. So short stories. The themes are roots and resiliency. And we're updating the workbook so it's simpler, but it will be on the website here. And then we have an event in October. It's our 30-year anniversary. And so we'll invite some students to share their stories at the event, potentially with some collaboration with local artists. And we're not quite sure what that will look like yet because it's our first year doing it this way. Any questions? Anything about Zoom that was confusing or didn't make sense or you want to try?
Looks like there are some good resources here.
Yeah.
Zoom looks pretty easy to use, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's good. Yeah.
My question really doesn't have an answer, but how do I handle this? 2 of my students are interacting with me during this time, but I know that they're limited for well, whatever their plan is for their phones and the internet in their house. I don't want to cause them to have extra fees if they go over. The head of the household probably is just trying to keep it as low as possible.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Yeah, I would try to stick to text or phone call then if that, if they have data that allows for that. there are some different internet providers who are, giving students internet access right now, or low-income families. I don't know if you need to have a student ID for that, but we could potentially look into that. Maybe get them some internet, but yeah, it's not ideal for students who don't have internet service or who don't have a smartphone or a computer.
And they do have smartphones and they do have internet. I just don't know. I don't think I should ask, oh, do you have certain number of minutes? Because, there are other things going on in their lives too that they need the internet for.
Yeah, and I think if they have, unlimited service, then it's great.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of students are feeling, from what we've heard at least, feeling pretty ready for classes to start again and for more normalcy and to reconnect. Yeah, but I understand it's resource limitations.
Is that a question that as you connect with students, you could broker so that instructors, tutors don't have to be asking that question?
Yep. If you're willing to offer classes online, then we'll ask, we're happy to ask your student if they have, what kind of technology access they have, and troubleshoot the best way to make it happen. Like I said, if you want that to happen soon, then maybe email. If you're used to working with me or Anna or Kay Young, or if you're not sure, then you can email me or whoever you're most comfortable with, because it might take a couple weeks for us to get to you specifically, depending on where you are in the list. Yeah, and I'm happy to, meet with you and your student for your first meeting on Zoom if you would like, so that you have somebody who knows hopefully how to troubleshoot if there are issues or explain things. And I think if Anna has time, she's happy to do that too and explain in Spanish if your student speaks Spanish. Any other questions? Okay. Well, we'll have an in-service on the storytelling project in 2 weeks on Thursday afternoon. We'll try to record that one as well, but we never know if it'll work, or if there's confidentiality, then we can't share the recordings. But that'll be on Zoom, and we'll send an email with the login information. So thank you, everyone. I really appreciate your time and your care and all you're doing, and I hope that you're well and safe in your families, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you,
Very
Heather.
much.